Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. We do have public affairs analysts joining us for the front pages of the newspapers. Mr. Habib Aruna, who's a journalist with repute. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Without further ado, we're going to go straight to the stories. Very, very interesting stories that we must look at. Don't forget that you can be part of the front pages of the newspapers by calling the number right there on the screen to react to either of the stories and let us know what you think about that. I'm going to start off with our very first newspaper, Thisday newspaper. I think we should start with Thisday newspaper and see what we have there. The men who could face President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027. It says 2027, the challengers. Kind of like reminds me of what we were used to while we were younger. I'm talking about those who knew what it was when you had pads in hand. Anyway, for those who understand where I'm going, I'm talking about the generation of games and so on. But then again, you have challenges and their faces there. You have to pick one or select one. I'm going to ask my guests if you were to pick one. Which one would you pick in the faces that you have there? You've got former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. You have as well Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso. No doubt, you know how strong he is in the north. You have the one who has never stopped. He will keep pushing. He's a challenger as well, Mr. Atiku Alhaji, I beg your pardon, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who's a former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course a former Governor and Minister, Mr. Rotimi Amechi as well. You do have Peter Obi, not forgetting too, many others. But we're going to start off with that story, which has led to what we call the coalition that we've seen, ADA, A-D-A. Let's take that story first. What's your take on the challenges that we see there? We also hear rumors that some are saying that ADA, they're not part of ADA, ADA. It seems like there's another coalition coming as well. So it's a divide. You have that of the former member of parliament talking about David Mark, divided by so many. What's your take?
I think the writer of that story got it right. Because the names mentioned, the name on that front page are the possible challengers of President Tinubu. And these are people that have the pedigree, people that have the history, people that have the experience, people that are electable, you know, that can really challenge the current president. It will be difficult for me to pinpoint a single person, you know, who can pose that challenge. But you look at all of them, Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President Sharaki, Rabi Kwankwaso, Peter Obi, Shekarau, you know, these are people that can push it. Amechi, Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, former Minister of Transport. These are people that can really pose a challenge, you know. But it will be difficult for me to point someone. But like I do a program, it will be imperative for the opposition parties to form a coalition to try to pose a challenge to the current president. It will be very difficult to defeat Tinubu based on his experience, based on his history, based on the fact that he's a master of the game. You know, the only way to challenge him, and considering the nature and character of Nigerian politics, is to have a coalition, an alliance of major political parties. Then that alliance will now come up with a name, with all of these names I'm seeing on the front page of Thisday. With a good alliance, good network, and good grassroots support and structures, they can put a challenge to Tinubu. Any of them. But they must have that structure on ground, coalition of opposition parties. That's the only way to go.
Do you think, I mean, if you look at the front page there, you have so many faces. So the question now is, who would allow the other to run as the front man, as the leader, while who would stay behind to ensure that they oversee everything that will happen from behind the scenes? Because if you say one person should represent the coalition party and run as the front man, as the man who would challenge the president, I'm sure many of them here, none would want to stay at the back seat. I think, for instance, there are questions whether the former vice president should eventually take a back seat and allow others to run, using his knowledge, experience to...
That's a fine question. Well, you need to just oppose it with the experience of APC, how the APC emerged in 2014, early 2014. You know, the mastermind of that coalition is the current president, President Tinubu. And learning from experience, the APC members, because I was also very much involved, the Hassan Muhammad, in the formation of the APC. The members of that coalition realized one thing from the beginning, that they must come together. NPP, CPC, ACN, they must come together under an umbrella. And they also agree from the beginning that the only person that can win this thing for us is Muhammad Buhari. I don't believe that Buhari had the block vote from the north. Now combine that from that of the southwest, they will be on a roller coaster to win. You know, the problem these current people will face is that there's no any person like a Buhari in their midst. How are they going to share their ambition and allow someone that like Peter Obi, someone like Kwapaso, someone like Sharaki, you know, to be the arrowhead of that, to spearhead that coalition and lead them? That is the question they'll be facing. You know, are they going to sacrifice their ambition for a single person to run under the umbrella? That will be the question that Nigerians are watching. But APC did not face that problem because they knew have an issue that Buhari is the one that can give them the vote. And they built it on the platform of anti-corruption crusader, even though it turned out to be a fluke, you know. But that was what Nigeria, because Nigeria want to see a coalition, of an organized coalition, unified coalition, with a message that can resonate with them. That's the only way they can pose a challenge to the formidability of President Tinubu.
Okay, let's look at another one. All right, Olive, you have some.
Let's go to another newspaper this morning. And the next newspaper we will look at would be the Daily Independent.
I don't know. Do you want to look at Thisday still? We haven't taken the big one, the big one at the top there.
All right, let's take that one. Yes, Tinubu to West African leaders: turn region's democratic strength, mineral wealth into jobs industry. Okonjo-Iweala, West Africa must break trade barriers to unlock $550 billion potential. We know that President Tinubu has handed over to Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, exactly. So let's get your thoughts on that. And the implication, does Nigeria still have that influence and that voice in ECOWAS as it typically would, owing to the fact that not just was our president the chairman, our contribution to the GDP of ECOWAS, you know, in population, in democratic policies and the likes. Do we still have that level of influence?
No, Nigeria, without a doubt, is the most influential country in the sub-region. You know, our market is the biggest politically, we have the population, and when Nigeria seizes, those guys catches cold. So we've been very powerful, very influential in the sub-region over the years, since the time of Tafawa Balewa. You know, but the question is that how influential, how formidable, how strong is that bloc, the current reality of global politics? That is the question. It's a mere talk shop, in my view. They meet regularly and drink tea, that they did yesterday. What is the impact? What is the impact of ECOWAS now, apart from free movement?
And we even have that free movement.
Yes. We go to Ghana, we don't need to take a visa. They stamp it at the airport. Yes. There's no any hindrance, no any restrictions, no, to movement in this region. But how beneficial is it economically to people in the region? Even though Nigeria has been, if you remember, Nigeria has, because of ECOWAS and their rules and regulations, Nigeria has not been able to close its borders to the Republic. It will be helpful to Togo. Even Sierra Leone. And look at our role during Ecomoc, Babangida, Allah Abacha. So Nigeria has been driving the group, the guerrilla group. But how effective are they? Are they changing? Are they dynamic? Because the world is changing. The global world is a changing thing. Okay. So how effective are they trying to fit into it?
That's another thing.
People in the region will benefit.
All right, let's take a call from Osas. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning, New Central.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. I would like to contribute to your program, particularly the gentleman you were interviewing concerning the Alliance for Democracy, the new party that is about to be registered. When you make mention of subsidy, I just want to put it straight to him. Maybe the gentleman cannot remember what happened. This present President Tinubu, was a sponsor of that protest against President Jonathan in 2011 or 2012, January. I participated in it. We were mobilized, both in October and under the bridge in National Stadium. We were there. President Tinubu, Professor Wole Soyinka, and Thisday Bakari, they were the sponsor of that subsidy removal, the protest. So what I expect from the Tinubu to have done, when he was saying subsidy is gone, is to first of all apologize to President Jonathan. That now I can see better that we really stopped you from removing it then. But now I can see better. I apologize to you for not allowing you to remove the subsidy then. So let's keep the record straight. See, today I'm expecting President Tinubu to apologize to President Jonathan. Even me, I have apologized. I'm also using this medium to apologize to President Jonathan then, because I joined the protest against the subsidy removal. So that is just what I want to correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Do you agree with him that President Tinubu owes President Jonathan an apology?
Yeah, that's right, his opinion, personal opinion. But what he's saying is not particularly out of line. God, President, the then former governor, Tinubu, was constantly criticizing Jonathan.
But maybe
and his policy. So you have the right, but for him to apologize to Jonathan, I don't think so.
to follow up with his sentiments, I think it had to do with one of the APC members that joined the show. He had talked about, he had highlighted one of the benefits of the current administration, pointing to the removal of subsidy. And I think his question, his reviews comes from a question I had asked the guest, that would you say that one of the things you're highlighting as, the transformation or transformative success of the current administration in removing subsidy can also or cannot be traced back to what Jonathan did? Because he was saying that the current administration or the previous administration had been there for years, they did nothing. And I had to remind him that they also had removed subsidy, but the current president did not allow it to hold. He said no, and then they gathered every other person. Remember, as far back as back then. And I think that's what he's highlighting, that if Jonathan had done so in the past and it was kicked against, and the current president is doing so, then he should apologize to the former president.
Okay, let's take a call from Kano. Khalid is calling. Good morning, Khalid. Please.
Good morning. Good morning, News Central. Hello.
Hello. Good morning. We can hear you. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning. I would like to give my contribution. I don't hear you.
Yeah, hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. About what is Daily Trust said, these challenges. So, if we recall what's happening on National Assembly, at National Assembly, there is no contributor for Nigeria like Saraki. He did well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
He did well. 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 He did well
Here you go ahead, please. Go ahead. You have limited time. Go on.
Yeah, he worked for Nigeria. There is no National Assembly work for Nigeria like Saraki when he's president of the Senate. He was leading as Senate president. That can you hear me?
Thank you so much. Point. He's talking about the coalition and highlighting one person there, which is Saraki. Earlier on, we had talked about who would actually have to step back for the other person and who would be willing to work from behind the scenes. But Khalid says he thinks Saraki should be the right person to do the job. Let's take this story, still on this day. Outrage over killing of 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau, Shatima, Mufwang condemn attacks. The president also condemned the attacks. I do not know if you've seen the video we want to show to you. There's an alleged kidnap of a justice in Bayelsa State. We took that story this morning. We do have confirmation from, security operatives who say, yes, it was a kidnap, but it was staged in form of a security force that was going to apprehend him. Let's see if we can get a producer to put up that clip there that took place in Bayelsa State, where they say one of the justices was kidnapped. But in a way, it looks like it was security operatives who were apprehending or taking him away. But it was whisked away in the dark of the night. And this has further laid emphasis on the need for security to be dealt with immediately. But let's add that to what we see here that happened over the weekend. 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau, suicide bomber, and the likes.
I think it's becoming very alarming and scary. My brother. The president was in Benue State last Wednesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? On Wednesday. And we've been seeing these incessant killings. The governor of Benue State raised an alarm about 2 weeks ago that these guys, the terrorists and bandits, they are coming up again. They are becoming too daring in the attack. And that the president should not listen to sycophants. The president should listen to his security chiefs. But I don't think our security agencies are doing enough. Because when people are dying, we have to raise our brow to be on the front page. As well as that happened yesterday, the president issued a statement from the presidency that those people involved should be arrested. The IG and the CDS were directed once again to do the right thing. For how long? It's not working. So I think that should be another way of dealing with these things. And they should show Nigerians that they are capable. But from what we are seeing, there is no any way to assume that they are becoming increasingly incapable of dealing with this security. So, and the president has a duty to take an action on them. So Nigerians are not convinced that they're doing enough. People are feeling unsafe. If you can kidnap a judge in the state, then we have a problem on our hands. So the president should do something. People are not doing enough. But who is even addressing Nigerians and what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the video.
So you see,
the video quickly before we go straight to the caller.
We have a call coming. Let's take the call. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Alhaji Hassan Muhammad in Dabagi. I'm calling from.
Calling from where?
I want to talk about the ill-timed subsidy removal by the current administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu. I think when somebody is being ushered into a new building or into administration, the first thing you need to do, you need to open the door and go inside. So after seeing the size of where you want to live and where you want to operate. But unfortunately, our beloved president made a pronouncement at the podium of his swearing-in, where a lot of Nigerians are going through untold hardship. Almost 60% of small scale and medium businesses have collapsed because if you have 10 million as at then, Now it is just 500,000 because of the economic policy. And when you look at a lot of families can no longer feed themselves because you are on 20,000 naira salary. And a lot of states have been told to go into so-called salary increment. And all of a sudden, even the FCC could not even give out the money to some of their workers. It is sad and unfortunate. So I will urge the president, since the policy has affected Nigerians greatly, it's something that he has done greatly that we appreciate him because he did a direct importation of food, grains, and other with a waiver. But unfortunately, it's not reaching out to those in need. It's reaching out to production companies and manufacturers as against the basic requirements. Now, we should tell ourselves the truth. The other president said we should eat the homegrown products to improve the naira. But unfortunately, it is as a benefit of the farmers and at the detriment of Nigerians. Instead of giving us fair competition, you are buying foreign rice almost the same price with the one that you want to support in Korea also. I will urge the president to focus on opening the border like he just said, so that this thing will work hand in hand with what we have locally until we are self-sufficient on those areas before we can close border. You can't starve yourself because you want to carry out policy, economic policy that has no benefit to the people. So I think I'll urge the president to import more food, most especially the flour, the maize, the wheat, the rice, etc. So that when people have enough food to eat, then when we have bumper harvest, the thing will compete on both sides of it. But today you see that we are exporting things that we don't have enough to eat. You see pepper going to Cameroon, 10, 20 trailers, and you are buying a custard of pepper to 6,000, something that ordinarily also has been 2,000. Why not sanction on the exportation? Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you
for joining us and sharing your thoughts. I want us to take another paper, the Daily Independent newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper, a number of stories crop up. Struggling banks face hurdles to navigate recapitalization. About 10 lenders under CBN watch for recapitalization risks. PFA's record good showing on ROI in H1 2025 amid economic headwinds. Federal government backs construction of $400 million solid mineral plant, eyes 10,000 jobs. How fiscal authority can raise revenue, cut borrowing, and this is by analysts. Presidency berates Lamido for saying Tinubu backed June 12th annulment. SERP asked Tinubu to seek ICC intervention in Benue massacre. ECOWAS chair Tinubu hands over to Sierra Leone's Julius Maada Bio. Airlines link increase in fares to price of jet A1 at 1,359 naira. Or 1,315 naira per litre, and they say products more expensive in Nigeria than US. And the final story here, PDP accuses INEC of plot to destabilize NEC meeting. Let's start with that. PDP has accused INEC. They're saying, of course, with the drama, INEC has said that they're not going to approve it because there has to be signatory or a signing by the national chairman. I think that's national secretary, I beg your pardon. I think that's what's causing an issue because last week we talked about this. There's a camp that believes that Samuel Anyanwu is the national secretary. There's another camp who believes Ude Okoye is the national secretary. And until they resolve this, it would seem that they may not be able to go forward. But they are alleging now that INEC is planning to destabilize their NEC meeting, which is supposed to happen on the 30th of June.
The PDP should put its house in order. There's a Supreme Court judgment affirming the fact that Anyanwu is the authentic secretary. We don't like it.
So the argument to that one is that maybe what they're saying is that because I know that there's a judgment that says that these are the issues should be resolved within the party, and then they will now say that they are falling back to the constitution. So I think that they're different. Both parts feel like they have valid arguments, and they can't go to court because court has said that they should resolve it in-house.
So what do you do? So at the board of contention
Samuel Anyanwu
is Anyanwu. Wike group is saying that Anyanwu is an authentic person. The other group, the Southeast,
the Magom and
the other guy.
Is Sheyi Makinde one of them now, right?
Peter
Mbao of Enugu State.
Almost all the government in Southwest. I say that is the other man. So the problem they are having, and that problem will continue until
Until election arises.
Next election. And that is why some people are already looking at the door. I need to leave this party and form my own party. Because the problem will continue. You know, Ayahu is insisting the backing of course, Wiki.
So shouldn't they just allow, because Ayahu's tenure...
And the secretary was signed.
So if Ayahu's tenure was supposed to end by December 2025, shouldn't they just allow him, finish out his tenure?
Because they must have a meeting. It is in line with the constitution that they must have a meeting. They must have a meeting.
But they are saying that the meeting will hold, whether they like it or not, on the 30th of June.
If Ayahu did not sign it, it will be illegal.
INEC doesn't approve of the meeting.
They said it will hold.
INEC is playing his role.
There's a video of the secretary.
INEC is playing his role. I don't know about it. If you are accusing of him biased, then show proof. You cannot show proof. The thing is that PDP members should put their house in order. There's a story you read. And
I wanted us to talk about, I have a feeling I know the story. Presidency berates Lamido for saying Tinubu back June 12 annulment. Is that the story?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at the undercurrent. Sule Lamido belongs to the opposition. He was saying in that same interview on Analyst TV that any coalition formed to depose Tinubu, he'll be interested in that coalition. That defeating Tinubu should be the ultimate, and that he is ready to join the coalition. During that interview, that segment is where he's talking about Tinubu's involvement on June 12. That Tinubu was involved in the annulment of June 12. That he indeed won for.
And that he's not a part of the pro-democracy struggle.
Abacha, and Babangida. That is not true.
You disagree with that?
You see, yes, I personally disagree with that. Because I knew what happened, I followed it and I reported it. You see, as a journalist, he's impartial in this instance. You see, these guys trying to remove Tinubu, we try to demonize him. And the only foundation, the only plank, in which Tinubu build his credibility is June 12. That I fought for June 12. When he came back from exile, when he was in exile, he was funding Nadeko, another pro-democracy activist. He was funding that. It's on record. And there was that credibility that I was the one funding you people, Nadeko and Co., that made him to defeat, to be favored as against Funshaw Williams. The Nadeko leaders decided to support him because of the involvement in fighting the annulment of June 12. So if these guys try to destroy that foundation, that plank, they're going to be in trouble. That is why they came out yesterday, furiously,
with a new narrative
to denounce it. And who was also involved, Tuji Bello was also involved, and you can expect that they will come out to tell Nigerians that. And if you look at the social media, they've been throwing up many videos affirming what Tinubu did in this struggle. So they should not revise history. They should not rewrite history to demonize Tinubu to win elections. Campaign on your message. Let people know what you want to do.
So it's a political ploy.
Yeah, it's a ploy. It's a big ploy. And you should expect that. But they can destroy that part of Tinubu, then the president will be in trouble. He built his political future, his political ambition, all this while, in the past decade, on the fact that he was with Abiola. Abiola, who is seen as a saint, as a savior, because he died for the cause he was fighting for. He paid the ultimate price. People don't jump Southwest, for example. If you demonize Tinubu that he was against June 12 in the Southwest, he'll be in trouble. So these people have their game plan, which I'm happy that Tinubu boys are fighting against. They will not allow it. But the fact remains that Tinubu was a pro-democracy activist. He funded them. It's on record. You cannot tell us different story now. Go and bring your message. Let Nigeria know what you want to do for them to defeat the Tinubu, not demonize him. And it was against June 12. That can not work.
That ploy has sailed, and hopefully many have said that it would stop sailing immediately because there's a lot of work behind it.
Well, more of that.
Yeah, a lot as you count down. Olive, any other story? I think Daily Independent is loaded.
The New Telegraph, unless you have any other story.
Yeah. Daily Independent is also loaded. If you look at it, it also has another story there. Serap asked to seek ICC intervention in Benue massacre. Tinubu hands over to Sierra Leone. Yes, we've taken that story, but I wanted us to look at the ICC story. Serap asking him to seek the intervention, International Criminal Court, on that.
So what will be the expectation from the ICC?
Exactly.
What are saying? No. Yes.
Yes.
It's part of God. Serap is a credible platform.
We agree.
Fighting injustice and corruption
Sure.
in Nigeria. What they are saying is that if you look at the video, the massacre that took place in Benue, the Abiyawa massacre, you can see it as a genocide, and that the ICC, International Criminal Court, should intervene and prosecute people involved in that kind of genocide. That's what Serap is saying.
Exactly.
It's not out of the way. And Serap is forcing the government to do the right thing, to pursue the people that committed that atrocity, and prosecute them. That's what Serap is saying. I think yes, involve this ICC. Let them also know that what happened in Yarua is not only people committing murder, it was a genocide. That to wipe out the whole tribe. That is what Serap is saying, and should be noted. And Serap is saying that to force the government to act decisively against perpetrators of this murder. Anyway, I won't say it's a genocide, but it was an atrocity that all of us were not comfortable with, and it's condemnable.
Exactly.
Okay, still talking about insecurity and going to ICC, I want us to take another story on the New Telegraph. If you look beside that picture, killings. Clerics ask federal government to designate killer headers terrorists. And I'm taking this story because earlier we took a package by our correspondent Emmanuel Bagudu, where he talked about the reintegration of terrorists into the society. These bandits or terrorists, whatever you call them, there's a reintegration. There's a popular terrorist who has now been reintegrated into the society and said he will keep his own end of the bargain so long as the government keeps its own end of the bargain. But let's get your thoughts. There are those who would argue that we can't win the war against insecurity by strictly using our power, using our military power, using the law enforcement agencies or intelligence, but that there's a role that peacekeeping has to play in all of this. But there's the other angle that argues that it's unfair, because where is the justice for the people who have lost their loved ones to these terrorists and these bandits? These clerics are saying that designate them as terrorists, these killer headers, they're terrorists, and let's not try to sugarcoat it.
There's nothing bad in involving carrot and stick in dealing with these things, insecurity. Even the US do it. The USA apply these things in diplomacy. They did it in Afghanistan. They did it in part of Syria. They did it in Iraq. It's not as if we are weak. If the ultimate thing is to find a solution, if negotiating with these people can bring about peace, why not? But it should be done with sincerity and clear purpose. Who are we dealing with? Who is dealing with them? And they coming out clean? Are they going to abide by the rules? Those things, there should be laid down guideline and procedure. If they can adhere to it, no problem. If the ultimate is peace, everybody doing it. It happens all over the world. The US even negotiate at time with terrorists to get Americans released from their old. So it's not totally out of the way, but it must be done with sincerity of purpose. Both parties must agree, explicitly to agree with the laid down procedure and agreement.
Let's look at another story. I'd like to get your view. Possibly we still have very little more time. At the top of New Telegraph there, VAT, value-added tax. Northeast states received 124.22 billion naira proceeds, generated 36.04 billion naira. South-South raised 364.99 billion naira, got 171.18 billion naira. So it's looking at the Northeast and the South-South. This, many have agreed, is one of the, I would say, pass mark for the current administration, looking at the aspect of course, the tax reforms. And now more governors are getting more money. What do you make of this particular data, statistics, and how should this make you view the subnationals in terms of how they are carrying out, their duties in terms of benefiting the people?
I think we are putting more of our lenses on the federal government. You also try and put it on the state government and local government. Since this administration came to power 2 years ago, more money has been given to the states, particularly the states and local government. We cannot talk about the local government because the states still, despite the Supreme Court judgment, control the local government. So this money the states are collecting, who is judging them? Who is telling them to how are this money spent? Where is the accountability? And where is the responsibility? And unfortunately for us, the state government have the legislature in their pocket. So why can't we call on the state governors? How do you spend this money? Because you can imagine the other state governor back in the budget about $1 billion.
Yes.
To reform the government.
Reform government.
But
it doesn't live there.
Nothing live there. It's been living there for the past 3-4 years. And since we are living government in 2 years' time, we want to celebrate 50 years of creation of our state with $39 billion refurbishment of the. So those are the things. We're asking questions. If we have an effective and vibrant legislature in the state, then we call the government to come and ask questions. The ESCO just sat down one day, approved the money, and they're going ahead. The speaker is the boy of the governor from Aruba. So if you talk anything otherwise, the next day there'll be crisis in the assembly, and there's a way out. So they are fighting for their own interest, not just for the people. So the emphasis, gentlemen, should be on how our governors are spending our money. Yes, we are focused on Tinubu.
On Tinubu.
And the president is responding. But the governors, what is going on with them? In Lagos State, what is going on with them? How is money spent? The money generated from taxes in Lagos State is spent.
We still have.
So I think we should focus on it. The
roads are poorly.
Your reporters should ask questions. We should be asking questions. Because the media has a role to play in this enterprise. We need to ask questions. Ask those governors. The governor is going from Kogi to Abuja. Edo to Abuja. We have chartering private jets.
Private jets.
And people are suffering. They are not funding education in the right way. They are not funding the head. The roads are bad.
And then there are some governors.
And you are using billions to refurbish government house because nobody is asking questions. So you see, the governors are the weakest link that has been the problem of this current democracy. We are all talking about Akpabio here.
But then the National Executive Committee, when these meetings are held.
No, what I'm saying is that the governors, you see, the democracy and governance suffer when there's no check and balances. Power is very fluid.
Yeah.
You use power because you are in charge. These governors are emperors in their state. They are emperors. They can do and undo. But there's no check. Nobody is checking them. They're not accountable to anybody. And people that are elected to the House of Assembly, that's their job, to hold the governors accountable. So to do that job, please.
Well, that job, we would revisit it again and see what will happen. But I want to say thank you so much for being here with us, Mr. Habib Aruna, for breaking down through your analysis some of the biggest stories on the front pages of the newspapers. Thanks to our callers who have joined us today. It's Monday. It's the start of the week. We are hopeful and keep our fingers crossed that we're going to hear good stories, aside from what we heard today, which aren't too, good and palatable. Thanks for coming.